Adolf Hitler received intelligence reports during late 1944 from Wehrmacht commanders in Western Europe documenting that American armored forces were deploying tanks in quantities that German production couldn't match. The assessments presented at military conferences indicated that single American armored divisions possessed more tanks than entire German panzer corps, and that replacement rates enabled Americans to sustain losses that would cripple Wehrmacht units. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, commanding forces in West, reported that battles in France following D-Day invasion demonstrated American capacity for replacing destroyed vehicles within days, while German losses required weeks or months to reconstitute. The recognition that industrial warfare had shifted decisively towards side possessing overwhelming production capacity challenged Hitler's conviction that German technical superiority and tactical excellence could overcome numerical disadvantages. The strategic context during autumn 1944 found German forces conducting fighting withdrawal across France toward German border after Normandy breakout had destroyed defensive positions in northern France. General Omar Bradley, commanding American ground forces, had deployed multiple armored divisions, including 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th Armored Divisions, that operated with independence and aggressiveness that German commanders hadn't anticipated. The American tactics emphasized using armor for exploitation following infantry breakthroughs, rather than as breakthrough force itself, creating operational tempo that Wehrmacht struggled to counter. The abundance of American tanks meant that losses during operations didn't constrain subsequent missions as replacements arrived continuously from depots supplied by transatlantic shipping. Albert Speer, serving as armaments minister, provided Hitler with production statistics during September 1944 showing that Germany was manufacturing approximately 350 tanks monthly, while American production exceeded 2,000 tanks during same period. The disparity meant that even if German tanks achieved favorable exchange ratios in combat, attrition warfare favored Americans who could replace losses 6 times faster than Germany. Speer emphasized that American industrial capacity included not just tank production, but complete logistical system providing spare parts, ammunition, and fuel, enabling sustained operations that German forces couldn't maintain even when vehicles were available. Hitler's response to production statistics combined dismissing numbers as exaggerated with insisting that quality differences between German and American tanks compensated for quantitative disadvantages. The argument presented was that Panther and Tiger tanks possessed superior armor and firepower, enabling single German vehicle to destroy multiple American Shermans before being knocked out. The tactical reality that battlefield reports documented was that American numerical superiority enabled tactics where Shermans attacked from multiple directions, overwhelming German tanks through coordinated assaults that individual vehicle superiority couldn't counter. The operational flexibility that abundant tanks provided meant Americans could accept losses during engagements, knowing that replacements enabled continuing operations. General Heinz Guderian, restored to active duty as Inspector General of Armored Forces, presented assessments during October, emphasizing that American armored operations demonstrated integration of tanks with artillery, infantry, and air support, creating combined arms effectiveness that negated German technical advantages. The reports from commanders who had engaged American armored divisions described coordinated attacks where artillery suppressed German positions, infantry secured flanks, aircraft attacked support elements, and tanks exploited breakthroughs. Guderian's analysis was that American operational doctrine combined with material abundance created system where individual engagements might favor German forces, but campaigns inevitably resulted in American success through sustained pressure that Wehrmacht couldn't match. The Battle of Aachen during October 1944 illustrated American willingness to commit substantial armored forces to reducing fortified positions that previous doctrine would have bypassed. The 2nd and 3rd Armored Division supported infantry assaults on city with tank infantry teams that methodically cleared German positions, accepting casualties that American replacement system enabled sustaining. The German defenders reported that destroyed American tanks were replaced within hours by new vehicles brought forward from depots, while German reinforcements took days to arrive in reduced numbers. The siege demonstrated that American industrial capacity enabled tactics that German forces couldn't employ because losing tanks meant permanent reduction in combat power. Field Marshal Walter Model, commanding Army Group B, reported to Hitler during November that American armored offensives in Lorraine region involved hundreds of tanks operating simultaneously, creating situations where German anti-tank defenses were overwhelmed by numbers regardless of individual engagement outcomes. The tactical problem was that German positions designed to channel and destroy attacking armor worked against limited assaults, but became untenable when Americans committed sufficient forces to attack multiple sectors simultaneously. Model emphasized that defending against American armored operations required mobile reserves that could counterattack penetrations, but that Wehrmacht lacked fuel and vehicles for conducting sustained mobile defense. Hitler's planning for Ardennes offensive during December involved concentrating German armored forces for surprise attack through terrain that Americans considered unsuitable for large-scale tank operations. The operational concept was that achieving tactical surprise and exploiting initial breakthrough before American reinforcements arrived would demonstrate that German armored forces remained capable of decisive operations despite material disadvantages. The allocation of fuel and ammunition reserves to Ardennes attack reflected calculation that concentrated offensive using best available forces might achieve strategic results that defensive operations couldn't produce. The gamble was that Americans would be unprepared for major German offensive and that winter weather would negate Allied air superiority, enabling German armor to operate without constant aerial attack. The initial success of Ardennes offensive launched December 16th created penetrations that advanced 60 kilometers, creating bulge in American lines. The progress achieved during first days validated Hitler's confidence that German tactical proficiency could overcome material disadvantages when conditions favored Wehrmacht operations. The reports reaching Hitler during December 17th through 20th emphasized tactical victories, and American units overrun or surrounded, creating impression that offensive was succeeding according to plan. The optimism at Führer headquarters reflected belief that bold offensive action could reverse strategic situation in West, creating opportunity for negotiated settlement. The American response to Ardennes offensive involved rapid deployment of armored reserves that German planning had assumed wouldn't be available for days. General George Patton, commanding 3rd Army, redirected multiple armored divisions from Lorraine offensive towards southern flank of German penetration, executing 90-degree turn in operations that brought substantial forces to bear within 72 hours. The 4th Armored Division spearheaded relief of Bastogne, demonstrating operational flexibility and speed that German forces attempting similar maneuver couldn't match, given fuel constraints and Allied air attacks. The ability to redeploy armored forces rapidly illustrated American logistical capabilities that enabled sustaining multiple simultaneous operations. Hitler received reports during late December that American counterattacks were containing German advance and that armored spearheads had stalled short of objectives. The intelligence indicated that Americans were committing additional armored divisions, including 2nd and 3rd Armored Divisions, from north, creating converging attacks that threatened encircling German forces in salient. The fuel shortages that German units experienced meant that captured American supplies became essential for continuing operations, but that defending American positions prevented accessing fuel dumps that planning had assumed would be overrun. The operational paralysis, where German armor couldn't advance without fuel and couldn't retreat without abandoning heavy equipment, illustrated that Ardennes gamble had failed. The statistics that emerged from Ardennes' offensive documented that Americans had deployed over 1,000 tanks during battle and had replaced losses continuously, while German forces committed approximately 600 tanks that couldn't be replaced once destroyed. The exchange ratios favored Germans during initial engagements, but cumulative attrition eliminated German armored strength, while American forces maintained combat power through reinforcement. The final accounting showed that Wehrmacht had consumed irreplaceable resources, achieving temporary tactical success that strategic situation couldn't exploit, creating worse position than existed before offensive. General Wilhelm Burgdorf, serving in Hitler's military staff, presented assessment during January 1945 that Ardennes offensive had demonstrated both German tactical capabilities and fundamental impossibility of overcoming American material superiority through operational excellence. The analysis emphasized that American ability to deploy tanks in quantities exceeding German capacity to destroy them meant that attrition warfare inevitably favored side possessing superior production. Burgdorf's conclusion was that defensive strategy conserving forces while inflicting maximum casualties on attackers represented only viable approach, but that Hitler's insistence on offensive operations consumed resources that defensive warfare might have preserved longer. Hitler's rejection of defensive strategy reflected ideological commitment to offensive action and political calculation that negotiated settlement required, demonstrating continued German offensive capability. The orders issued during January directed preparation for additional offensive operations, despite recognition that Ardennes had consumed armored reserves. The disconnect between available resources and operational ambitions illustrated that strategic decision-making had detached from military realities, as Hitler insisted on operations that material constraints made impossible. The fighting during early 1945, as American and British forces advanced toward Rhine, involved American armored divisions conducting exploitation operations that German forces couldn't prevent or effectively counter. The 2nd and 3rd Armored Divisions led advances that captured bridges and key terrain before German forces could establish defensive positions. The operational tempo that American armor maintained reflected logistical system that sustained continuous operations, while German forces experienced increasing fuel shortages, limiting mobility. The contrast between American armored operations and German defensive efforts illustrated how completely industrial imbalance had shifted battlefield dynamics. The encirclement of Ruhr industrial region during April involved American armored forces conducting double envelopment that trapped hundreds of thousands of German soldiers. The 2nd Armored Division, advancing from north, and 3rd Armored Division from south, linked, creating pocket that eliminated Army Group B as fighting force. The operation demonstrated American capability for large-scale armored maneuver that Wehrmacht could no longer contest effectively. The surrender of forces in Ruhr pocket represented acknowledgement that continuing resistance without fuel, ammunition, or hope of relief was futile. When Hitler learned U.S. tanks flood battlefield during late 1944 through early 1945, the recognition involved confronting that American industrial capacity enabled deploying armored forces in quantities that German production couldn't match, and that replacement rates meant Americans sustained operations despite losses, while Wehrmacht experienced progressive degradation of combat power through attrition. The statistics showing American monthly tank production exceeding 2,000, while German output remained below 400, illustrated industrial disparity that tactical excellence couldn't overcome. The Ardennes offensive demonstrated that German armored forces retained tactical proficiency, but that achieving temporary successes consumed irreplaceable resources without producing strategic advantages. Hitler's personal psychology prevented acknowledging that industrial warfare fundamentals meant Germany couldn't win prolonged conflict against powers possessing overwhelming production advantages. The conviction that will and determination could overcome material factors persisted despite battlefield evidence demonstrating otherwise. The refusal to accept that American tanks flooding battlefield represented insurmountable challenge created strategic paralysis, where operations were ordered without resources for execution and where tactical successes couldn't be exploited into strategic gains. The American response involving rapid deployment of armored reserves and sustained counterattacks showed operational flexibility enabled by material abundance that German forces constrained by fuel shortages and limited replacements couldn't match. The final campaigns of war illustrated that American tanks flooding battlefield represented industrial warfare reality, where production capacity determined outcomes more than individual engagement results, creating inevitable trajectory toward German defeat that tactical skill couldn't reverse.